Okay, if you're in sales, you know this feeling all too well. You're bringing in leads, your team is hustling, but the revenue just isn't hitting the way it should. It feels like your entire sales pipeline is just clogged. Well, in this explainer, we're going to roll up our sleeves, figure out exactly why that's happening, and more importantly, how to fix it.
Does this picture look a little too familiar? You work so hard to pour all these great leads into the top of your sales funnel, but then you just watch as potential deals, potential money just drips right out through all these cracks and holes. It is so frustrating, and it's a massive waste of time and resources.
All right, let's treat this like a real investigation, a detective story, if you will. We're going to track down 3 prime suspects that are notorious for clogging up pipelines and killing revenue growth. And by the end of this, you're going to have a complete diagnostic toolkit to solve the case.
So, our first suspect. It's a classic case of mistaken identity. See, your sales team might be super busy, making calls, sending emails, but are they busy talking to the right people? This all boils down to one critical thing: lead qualification.
Think of lead qualification as the bouncer at the front door of your pipeline. Its job is to separate the high-potential VIP prospects from the folks who, just aren't a good fit. If you don't have that filter, your team ends up wasting so much precious time chasing down deals that honestly were never, ever going to close.
Now, what's really important to get is that there's no single best way to qualify leads. It's not one size fits all. You've got different tools for different jobs. You've got frameworks like BANT, which is simple, it's fast, perfect for those high-volume sales where speed is everything. Then there's CHAMP, which is way better for consultative selling, where you really need to dig in and understand a customer's deep-seated challenges. And then for the really big, complex enterprise deals, that's where a heavyweight like MEDDIC comes in, giving you a detailed roadmap to navigate all the stakeholders in office politics.
And this right here, this highlights a massive shift in sales philosophy. The old school way, BANT, it leads with money. It's transactional. What's your budget? But the modern approach, like CHAMP, it starts with the customer's problems. What are your challenges? That one little switch completely reframes the conversation from, hey, can you afford me, to, hey, how can I help you succeed? It's a game changer.
Okay, let's move on to suspect number 2, the hidden roadblocks hiding inside your very own process. Because even if you're talking to all the right people, something internally might be slowing things down to a crawl. We are talking about bottlenecks.
I love this analogy because it's so true. Your sales pipeline is a highway to revenue. And a bottleneck? It's that one spot where, for no good reason, everyone just slams on the brakes. Deals that were flying along suddenly get stuck in this horrible gridlock. And that doesn't just delay revenue, it wrecks your forecast.
So, the big question is, how do you find these traffic jams? Well, you've got to attack it from 3 different angles. First, dig into your data. Look for the stages where deals sit forever or just disappear. Second, talk to your reps. They're on the front lines every day. They know exactly where the friction is. And third, and this one's huge, actually ask your customers about their experience. Their perspective is pure gold for spotting delays that you've probably become totally blind to.
And that brings us to our final, and maybe the most dangerous, suspect of all, guesswork. Making huge decisions about your sales and marketing process based on gut feelings or what you think might work, that is a surefire recipe for a clogged pipeline. It's time to stop guessing and start testing.
A/B testing, some people call it split testing, is basically your secret weapon against guesswork. And the concept is beautifully simple. You just create 2 versions of something, say an email subject line. You show version A to one group, version B to another, and you just see which one performs better. It's how you make decisions based on what people actually do, not what you assume they're going to do.
And the results, they can be absolutely massive. Just by A/B testing their marketing messages to see what really connects with the right people, companies have seen a 14% boost in sales qualified leads. That means more prospects who are actually ready and vetted for a real sales conversation. That is a serious improvement.
Oh, but it gets even better. When you apply the same thinking to things like your website, successful A/B testing can increase your organic traffic by a staggering 45.7%. It just goes to show you that a series of small, data-driven tweaks can add up to huge wins across the entire business.
But, and this is a really big but, to get those kinds of results, you have to do it right. First, you have to know exactly what metric you're trying to move. Second, and this is crucial, only test one thing at a time. Otherwise, you'll have no idea what actually caused the change.
And finally, you have to make sure you have enough data to know the result is real, that it's statistically significant, and not just a random fluke. If you don't, you're right back to guessing again.
Okay, so we've investigated our 3 suspects: talking to the wrong people, hitting internal roadblocks, and just plain old guesswork. So, what's the big reveal? How do we put all of this together to build a sales pipeline that actually flows? This, right here, is the absolute key takeaway. Unclogging your pipeline isn't about finding one little magic trick. It's about fundamentally changing your mindset. It's about treating sales less like some kind of mysterious art form based on gut feelings and more like a science that's based on process, data, and always improving.
And really, it all comes down to building a culture of experimentation. This way of thinking has to become part of your company's DNA. When your whole team starts to see every test, even the ones that fail, as a valuable learning opportunity, that's when you create this powerful, self-improving engine for growth.
So here it is. Here's your toolkit for an unclogged, free-flowing pipeline. Number 1, put a smart qualification framework in place so you know you're talking to the right people. Number 2, make it a habit to analyze your process to find and crush those bottlenecks. And number 3, build a culture around data-driven A/B testing to constantly optimize every single step.
So I want to leave you with this question. This doesn't have to be some giant, overwhelming project. Just think about it for a second. What is one small thing, a subject line, a button on your website, a single question you ask in a discovery call? What's one small test you could run tomorrow to start on this journey to a healthier, more profitable sales pipeline?